Okay, so, yes, we'll go ahead and we'll just have a shorter, smaller group tonight, okay? Because this is important. Some of you remember a guy named Eddie McCain. Just a great brother. I remember Eddie's cheerfulness, smile. He was often a greeter at the door. He hadn't been around lately, so some of you may not have known him as of recent, but some of you have been here all remember Eddie. And unfortunately, Eddie passed yesterday. Came down with COVID. Was in the hospital and had a DNR, been on the ventilator, so yesterday was his last breath here. He is now breathing and rejoicing there with the Lord. Yeah. But it hit some of us hard. We remember Eddie, we love Eddie, and we have a group of guys that were in his step brothers. We call it, around here we have step brothers and step sisters. We step study brothers and sisters. And Eric in particular is going to come up and say something, but come on up here, Eric. If anybody else was in his step study or a co-leader of his step study, would you come up here as well? Just let Eric's going to say something, and I'm going to present something. But I know that the guys in that group loved him, and Rod was a co-leader with Eddie, and they did a great job. But Eric, tell us something about Eddie.
What he meant to you.
Sure. If you knew Eddie, he had a really big heart, and he was, filled with passion for justice, and he wanted to make the world a better place. So he got involved in politics and those types of things, and I've seen videos on his YouTube, which we're going to watch one here in just a minute. But when I met Eddie, it had nothing to do with politics, had nothing to do with. He was just Eddie, and I was just Eric, and we started with our step study. And what he meant to me was, when we say this is a safe place, like it's really a safe place. Mm-hmm. And he started, we went around the room, and he led with vulnerability and with confession, and it came easy to him. And it's just not something that you see a lot. And what I learned was that was really a path to freedom, And as time got on, we went through the steps, and we got to, making amends and those types of things, and got to know more about Eddie and about how he really sought from the bottom of his heart, to make amends and to seek reconciliation with those people that he hurt, that were close to him. And he just led with that vulnerability. And even when maybe that reconciliation didn't always happen, he was a model for us how to live, at peace and continue to walk in that confession. That's what I remember about Eddie. Would you like to share a few things?
Yeah. I'm a great believer in Jesus Christ. I suffer with anger and some of the repercussions from that. My name is Rod. I met Eddie. He was in my 12-step group 3.5 years ago. And fairly quiet guy, but very vulnerable, very honest. We finished that 12-step, and I was sort of looking to do my 12th step and what should I do, and I talked to some of the leaders about possibly leading a 12-step group. I was really glad when Paul said, Eddie is interested in leading a group too. And it really kind of surprised me that he would be interested in that. But anyway, we did it, and that's where we really got to know him. Those of you who've done 12-step, you're in for an hour at least every week with the same group of people for a year basically, and you really get to know their stuff. And the thing about Eddie that really inspired me was how much he loved his family. It was pretty clear. He had wronged them, he had wronged his wife, but how much and how devoted he was to wanting to get back with her. And it really inspired me. The other thing that I remember about him was that his devotion to his sobriety. I mean, he was sober. He liked it. He had some issues with his kids, and I remember him sharing some pretty challenging texts from one of his children, and just really pouring his heart out how much he really wanted to get back with them. So that was just another inspiration to me, is how much he really loved his family and was not going to quit until he got back with them. So I guess he's in heaven now waiting for them, and I'm pleased for that. But Eddie, we miss you. We, as a group, went every quarter. You'd go out to celebrate. We did after pretty much the same restaurant. We went every time because Eddie and I weren't very creative leaders. We always went back to Mellow Mushroom, but that kind of created a tradition that we kept on after the group disbanded. And what's interesting was, we'd been a while since we'd had a get-together at Mellow Mushroom, and it was just a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, that I reached out to him and I said, hey, we're overdue, let's do it again. And he said, yeah, let's do it. It was maybe next week, and that's when I learned that he had gone into the hospital with COVID. So I just remember thinking, well, hurry up, buddy, and get out. We gotta have this dinner. But anyway, thank you, Eddie. He's with Jesus now.
Thank you, Rod. And Eric, I wanted to ask you to take this. This is a chip. I wish I could have given it to Eddie. It's a service chip. Every now and then we pull these out and give them to some of our leaders just to thank you. It says, then I heard the Lord say, who will I send and who will go? And it says, here am I, send me. We're going to get this to Eddie's wife. And we got 2 cards in the back. If you remember something about Eddie that maybe would just encourage his family, right? This is what I appreciated about Eddie. This is what I remember about Eddie. We're going to get those to his wife. For now, Eric is going to take this as a representative for Eddie. God bless you.